The TD-20 was a very popular drum kit back in 2004. It was a revolutionary step forward in e-drumming technology. A lot has changed since then. So is it enough to upgrade your current kit? Let's explore what's new so you can make an informed decision. Why am I making this video? I really enjoy watching e-drum videos on YouTube. They teach me so much and got me excited to try making my own videos. I'm super passionate about e-drum tech for various reasons. Sure, there might only be a handful of folks watching who actually own a TD-20 and are thinking about upgrading. But I hope this video is both fun and educational for you to watch as an overview of how e-drumming technology has evolved and gotten better over time. I'm not rich. I don't have a ton of money laying around to throw at my drumming hobby. I started drumming on an affordable entry-level Yamaha DT Explorer kit, and I upgraded my snare to a triple zone pad. Eventually, I moved away from Yamaha and switched to the Roland ecosystem. I saved up and I was buying secondhand parts from a Roland TD-20 over the course of a couple of years. I bought almost all of the parts secondhand on eBay. I could get a pretty decent deal on an expanded TD-20 module and used it with Yamaha pads for quite some time. For incompatible pads, like the hi-hat, I would use a MIDI cable to hook my DT Explorer to my TD-20 module. Eventually, I've got all the parts that make up a Roland TD-20 drum kit, and I could sell my DT Explorer. Shortly after that, Roland announced the TD-20X, which was basically an expanded TD-20 that was redesigned and looked a lot better. Yes, the upgrade was mostly cosmetic, but it's not an insignificant one-off upgrade since Roland is still using this design in their current flagship drum sets. You might notice the original TD-20 videos mostly showed the top of the drum set. The newer ones show the kit from every angle. It looks much better indeed. However, this didn't justify an upgrade for me then. A couple of years later, Roland released the TD-30. While enticing, I didn't upgrade. The major difference was the better sounding module, but I figured I would be better off using drumming software if I would want to have a better sounds. I quickly gave up on trying to use drumming software when I still owned my TD-20 module because I was facing a lot of issues with latency and triggering the wrong notes. Using a faster computer and different software probably would have solved it, but I didn't have a faster computer, and drumming software wasn't as user-friendly as it is now. In 2018, Roland released the TD-50. I'm really excited about the new digital ride and snare. They both play better, trigger better, and they look much better than the previous generation. Unfortunately, it's really expensive. I was curious to find out if I could upgrade to a TD-50 cheaper using the Dutch eBay. Someone decided to sell their upgrade package, and I decided to buy it. Let's talk about the module. This module is 2 generations newer than the TD-30. But beside the new color, it looks the same and is almost the same size. The compact flash card is replaced by an SD card reader, but more importantly, this module has a USB port which is very capable. It's a big deal. You can use your module as a sound source to record from. You get a multi-channel feed to your computer to do a multi-track recording of your drumming. So that sounds from your module, but you can also send sounds to your module from your computer using USB. So if you use drumming software, you don't need a separate audio interface. You can just plug in your USB cable, leave your headphone in place, and you're almost good to go. Sounds are very subjective. I remember there was a lot of debate whether the TD-30 or the TD-50 sounded better. But I think most people will agree that the TD-50 sounds much better than the TD-20. I like the ride cymbal sounds a lot, but the rest of the kit sounds are a mixed bag for me. You have to pick and choose carefully to get a decent sounding drum kit. There are improvements handed down from the TD-30, for example. The cymbal responses were much improved in the TD-30. These enhancements were handed down to the 50 as well. The new button layout is more intuitive, and the 3 dials in the middle help you dial in your settings a lot quicker. The menu system is more intuitive, and you can find stuff quicker without needing to consult the manual. Let's face it, playing cross-stick on an electronic snare was always kind of weird. You got the X-stick mode, which you need to enable. The pad is smaller than a regular snare. You risk triggering the snare head, or even worse, triggering extremely loud rim shot sound while you want to play quietly. I tried the Yamaha snare pads with the separate zones for cross stick and rim shot, but the rim is just weird and feels awkward to play compared to a real snare. With the digital snare, you can play cross stick how you would on an acoustic drum, and it just works out of the box. Playing the rim of the snare works as you would expect it. It works great most of the time. It's not perfect though, and the snare still suffers from hot spotting. The size and dimensions are the same as an acoustic snare. This makes a huge impact. The mesh head on the snare is now 3-ply, so it's less bouncy than previous models. Also, the positional sensing works more reliable, so overall a great snare. Moving on to the ride cymbal, it's great. The bigger size and the new design feels more like an acoustic cymbal. It responds really well, and the bell works how it should. The bell used to be a problem on rubber cymbals. The new ride is also thinner, and the playing surface feels great. The positional sensing works more accurately and reliably than the previous ride. Weight and thickness make more of a difference in playing feel than I would have thought. Overall, this ride cymbal is the best electronic cymbal I've ever used. Updates since making this video: TD-27 upgrade package, the TD-50X, and the Roland 7 series drums. I want to address some updates since making the first draft of this video. This video has been in the works for many years. I have started making this video and kind of put it on a shelf and haven't finished it for a long time. Let's quickly address what has been changed since the original script. The TD-27 upgrade package. You can find the upgrade package available at various online stores using a TD-27 module that's compatible with the digital ride, hi-hat, and snare. The great thing about the TD-27 is that it's much more affordable, which helps keep the overall upgrade cost down. However, it does come with a couple of drawbacks. For one, it only has 3 tom inputs, so if you're using 4 toms, that might be a bit of a problem, though there are ways to work around that. Also, the TD-27 features the older TD-50 sound engine, and unfortunately, you can't upgrade it to the newer TD-50X sound engine. The new hi-hat is larger and thinner compared to the VH12 and VH13, making it a solid upgrade, though not as dramatic as the changes seen in the ride or snare. Roland has been excelling with their hi-hats since the VH12, so there wasn't a lot of room for major improvement. Even so, they've delivered a fantastic 14-inch hi-hat that's lighter and thinner, a great enhancement. This hi-hat now includes positional sensing. You can see it in the menus, but the module doesn't seem to take advantage of this. This positional sensing unlocks a bell zone in drumming software like Superior Drummer 3 and Easy Drummer 3 when you use the TD-50X preset. I put a video on my channel demonstrating this. If budget is a concern, sticking with the VH12 is still very valid. But if you're upgrading from a VH11, this new hi-hat is a clear step up. I believe the TD-50X is what the TD-50 was always meant to be. You can pay for a software update that gives your current TD-50 the same software as the TD-50X, so they're practically identical. I'd much rather opt for that upgrade than buy a whole new module. This update replaces the sound engine, offering a greater variety of sounds that overall sound better, resulting in richer, warmer drum tones compared to the often synthetic vibe of the stock TD-50. I've seen debates about the TD-30 and TD-50, but in my experience, the TD-50X sounds better than both, especially on a PA system. While some E-drums, like the TD-20, fell flat through a PA, the TD-50X actually sounds great when amplified through a PA. That's why I recommend the TD-50 upgrade over the TD-27 option. V-Drum's 7 series. The digital snare has been upgraded to include a snare throw-off, new rims, and a dial. The digital ride and the hi-hat have remained the same. The biggest innovation is the V71 module. It looks like Roland has finally made the leap to using samples, but they just can't resist adding a bit of synthesis to the mix. Here's a quote from their website.
Like top-tier drum sound libraries for computers, the V71 features multi-layer sample playback and round-robin randomization for natural sound, with no machine gun effect. Roland's proprietary behavior modeling adds the finishing touch, refining the sound with smooth, artifact-free transitions for every articulation and over 16,000 variations in dynamic response with our digital pads.
Are they filling the gaps with this technology by adding a bunch of randomization? How invasive is this modeling technology to the sound? Before I share my opinion on the new sounds, I want to add Roland's perspective to the video. According to a Roland representative, Roland was always using samples. Here's a small clip from an interview that the eDrum Workshop has done at the UK Drum Show.
You're not going to hear that jump, and therefore you're not going to get that machine gunning effect, because there's just a smoothing of the transition between those in a very realistic, very natural way. But I think there's been a misconception that actually, because of those algorithms that we have inside the module, our sounds are faked or they're digitally created, which is not true. They come from audio.
Yeah, synthesized is what you hear a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely. Stands to reason. Roland's a synthesizer company as well, so I can understand that that conclusion basically. But that's not always been the case. However, we are keenly aware of all the comments, etc., out there and the thoughts in the market. We also know that a lot of our customers have been using modules and then connecting to a VST for all the reasons why, because of VST, 100% sample based, many gigabytes of data, etc. So that kind of stands to reason.
I tried the new drum module, and I don't like the new sounds compared to sample-based VSTs or even sample-based modules from other companies. The Roland sounds still have an artificial quality to them that people refer to as the Roland sound. Since I can use the new digital snare on my TD-50X as well, I have no compelling reason to upgrade my module. I'll continue to use drumming software. Closing thoughts. Is it worth upgrading from the TD-20? Well, that really depends on your budget and what you're looking for. If you want better sounds, you might want to check out drumming software like EZdrummer instead. I've got some videos on my channel to help you get started with that. You could say the hi-hat, ride, and snare are the most crucial parts of a drum kit. The upgrades to the ride and snare are really impressive, and they're still some of the best electronic options out there. If you're using a VH12 or VH13 though, you might find the upgrade to the hi-hat isn't quite as noticeable since Roland did such a great job with the VH12 back in the day. This upgrade really narrows the gap between acoustic and electronic drums, which is what made me want to upgrade in the first place. If you want to save money, a TD-27 bundle might be interesting for you. Just be aware that you might need to spend some time configuring the module and your drumming software if you want to use a fourth tom on one of the aux inputs. If you're after better built-in sounds, you might want to consider the TD-50X module or software upgrade. In my opinion, its sounds are way better than the stock TD-50 or TD-27. It's definitely a significant investment. I expect it to get cheaper over time since it's not the latest module anymore. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. I hope this was informative and helps you in your decision-making process.